I've lived on this farm my whole life. My father built the house back in '62, a few miles outside of Dry Creek, Alabama. Folks out here keep to themselves. You mind your land, tend your animals, and let the woods be. I never believed in local stories until last summer. It was late July, hot and sticky, the kind of heat that makes the air hum. I was out near the tree line fixing a section of old fence when I heard something moving through the brush. Heavy steps, too slow for a deer. I figured it was one of my pigs that got loose, but then I heard it breathe. It wasn't a snort like a pig, it was deep, wet, almost human. I called out, "Hey, who's there?" No answer, just that slow breathing. Then, right before sunset, I saw it, about 30 yards out, standing half in shadow. At first, I thought it was a man covered in mud, maybe some drifter. But when it turned its head, the light hit it just enough for me to see the shape of its face. It wasn't right. The skin looked rough and cracked, like it didn't fit right on the bones beneath. The mouth pushed forward like a snout, but it still had eyes, human eyes. I froze where I stood. My hammer slipped out of my hand, and the sound made the thing jerk its head toward me. For a second, we just stared at each other. It didn't growl or charge. It just breathed slow and heavy, almost curious. Then it stepped back, turned, and disappeared into the woods. I ran back to the house and locked every door I had. My wife thought I was losing my mind. She said it was probably a wild boar or someone playing a prank. But I know what I saw. It was walking upright like a man. That night I couldn't sleep. Around 2 in the morning, I heard the pigs in the pen start squealing like they'd seen the devil himself. I grabbed the flashlight and ran outside. The night was still. No wind, no sound, but the pigs screaming. When I reached the pen, nothing was there. The pigs huddled in a corner, shaking, eyes wide. I swung the light toward the tree's end. There it was again. Just the reflection of 2 eyes staring back at me from the dark. Too high to belong to any animal I knew. I didn't go any closer. I just stood there, heart pounding, until the eyes blinked, vanished. The next morning, I found deep hoof-like prints around the pen, but the spacing was off. They were spread apart like something was walking on 2 legs. I told the sheriff, but he didn't take it seriously. Said I was probably seeing shadows or drunk off the heat. But every night after that, I felt it, watching, waiting. And the strangest thing, my pigs stopped eating for days. They'd just stand still, noses toward the woods, like they were listening for something only they could hear. The days after the first sighting were restless. Every creak of the barn and every gust of wind against the windows made me jump. I started keeping my rifle by the door, even when I sat down for supper. The neighbors laughed it off when I told them. They said I was hearing raccoons, maybe a wild boar. But I knew what I saw. One night, about a week later, the pigs refused to go into their pens. They just stood there, frozen, staring toward the edge of the woods. The air felt heavy, thick with that same stench of wet fur and decay. I called out, thinking it was a coyote. Then I heard it again, the grunt, low and rough, but shaped like a man trying to speak. The moon was almost full that night. I took my flashlight and stepped out, my boots sinking into the mud. Every step I took made the silence worse. The crickets stopped. Even the wind held its breath. Then the beam of my light caught something, two eyes reflecting back at me, higher than any animal's should have been. It stepped out slowly from behind a tree. The same shape as before, broad shoulders, matted hair, a face that looked wrong. Half man, half snout. It breathed loud, ragged, and wet. I couldn't move. I don't think I even blinked. The thing tilted its head, like it was studying me. Then it took one step forward and stopped. That's when I heard a sound from behind me, the squeal of a pig, sharp and terrified. I turned for just a second, and when I looked back, it was gone. No branches snapping, no footsteps, nothing. Just the echo of that awful grunt fading into the trees. The next morning I found one of the pens broken open. No blood, no footprints, just mud, torn fencing, and silence. The sheriff came out, looked round, and told me it was probably a bear. But bears don't walk upright. Bears don't leave gates unlatched. For weeks after that, I'd hear noises around 3 in the morning. Not every night, just enough to make me question if I'd imagined it all. Sometimes it sounded close, like breathing outside my window. Other times it came from deep in the woods, almost like a call. By late autumn, I stopped hearing it altogether. The pigs settled again, the air cleared, and for a while I convinced myself it was over. But every now and then, when the wind shifts just right and carries that smell of damp fur across the fields, I still get the feeling he's out there watching, waiting. I don't know what that thing was. Maybe a man who lost his mind. Maybe something older, something that doesn't belong in our world. But I do know one thing. The night the woods went silent, something looked back at me from the dark hand. It wasn't human.